I gave my entire youth to my family. Then they called me the failure. Have you ever spent years sacrificing everything for the people you love, believing one day they'd finally appreciate it? I did. I worked 2 jobs before I was 23. I gave up college. I emptied my savings. I helped my brother start his business. I paid my sister's tuition. I covered my parents' mortgage when my dad got sick. Everyone called me the responsible one. Until the day I needed help. That's when I discovered I wasn't the family's hero. I was just their emergency wallet. And what happened at my mother's birthday dinner changed the way I looked at family forever. My name is Daniel. I'm 34 now, but this story started more than a decade earlier. Growing up, money was always tight. Dad worked construction. Mom cleaned houses. My younger brother, Ryan, dreamed of becoming an entrepreneur. My sister, Emma, wanted to become a nurse. I was the oldest. Whenever something went wrong, everyone looked at me. At first, I didn't mind. I loved my family. After high school, I was accepted into a good university. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was my ticket to a different life. Then, Dad injured his back. Everything changed overnight. Bills piled up. The mortgage fell behind. Mom cried almost every evening. I quietly declined my college acceptance. Instead, I found a warehouse job. 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week, sometimes 7. Whenever people asked why I never went to college, I laughed and said, maybe next year. Next year never came. Over time, helping became my full-time identity. Ryan wanted to launch an online business. Banks wouldn't approve his loan. I emptied nearly every dollar I'd saved. He promised he'd pay me back once things took off. Emma got accepted into nursing school. Her tuition was expensive. Without even asking, I paid it. Mom hugged me and whispered, "One day they'll remember everything you've done." I believed her. Birthdays passed, vacations passed, relationships ended because I was always working. Whenever friends invited me somewhere, I said I couldn't afford the time. The truth was, I couldn't afford to stop being everyone else's safety net. Years went by. Ryan's business exploded. He bought a beautiful house, a luxury SUV, designer clothes. Emma became a respected nurse. She married a successful doctor. Dad retired comfortably. Mom no longer worried about bills. Looking at them, you'd think we were the perfect family. People even complimented my parents. You raised amazing children. Nobody mentioned me. I was still renting a tiny apartment, driving an old pickup that barely started every winter. Whenever someone asked why I hadn't settled down, Mom would smile awkwardly. Daniel just isn't ambitious. That sentence hurt more than she ever realized. Then, everything changed. The warehouse announced massive layoffs. My department was eliminated. After 13 years, I was unemployed. For the first time in my adult life, I needed help. Not forever, just until I found another job. I wasn't asking for thousands. I simply needed enough to keep paying rent for 2 months. I figured the family I'd carried for years would understand. I couldn't have been more wrong. Ryan looked uncomfortable. He said business had slowed down. His social media showed him vacationing in Italy the following week. Emma said she wished she could help. The next day, she posted photos from a luxury spa weekend. Dad avoided eye contact. Mom changed the subject. Nobody actually said no. They just found polite ways to disappear. It felt like falling through invisible floorboards. I spent nights staring at my apartment's ceiling, wondering whether all those years had meant anything. A month later came Mom's 65th birthday. Everyone gathered at Ryan's beautiful house. Expensive decorations, professional catering, live music. It looked more like a wedding than a birthday. I almost didn't go, but she was still my mother. I brought flowers I could barely afford. When I walked in, conversations became strangely quiet. Then Ryan laughed loudly. "So, still unemployed?" A few people chuckled. I forced a smile. It's temporary. He shrugged. Maybe if you had planned your life better. His words landed like a punch. Nobody defended me. Not even Mom. Dinner started. People shared stories about family success. Ryan talked about expanding internationally. Emma spoke about buying a vacation home. Dad proudly called them proof that hard work pays off. I sat quietly. Then someone asked what I'd been doing lately. Before I could answer, Ryan spoke again, mostly asking people for money. More laughter. Even strangers at the table smiled awkwardly. Something inside me finally snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically. Quietly. Completely. I stood up, reached into my jacket, pulled out a thick envelope. Ryan smirked. So, still unemployed? No. Receipts. The room became silent. I placed papers across the dining room table, one by one. Canceled checks, bank transfers, loan documents, tuition payments, medical bills. Every payment I'd made over 13 years. Every promise to repay me. Every text saying, "I'll never forget this." Every email thanking me for saving the family. I hadn't planned revenge. I'd simply organized my financial records after losing my job. Seeing everything together shocked even me. Ryan's smile disappeared. Emma looked pale. Dad slowly removed his glasses. Mom stared at the documents without saying a word. Then I spoke. I wasn't asking for charity. Nobody interrupted. I wasn't asking for the same kindness I gave all of you. I gave up college. I gave up relationships. I gave up my 20s. I gave up every dream because I thought family always came first. I looked around the table. I don't regret helping. I regret believing love only works in one direction. The silence became unbearable. Even the musicians had stopped playing. Ryan finally cleared his throat. You chose to help. I nodded. I did. And today you chose not to. There wasn't anything else to say. I gathered the papers, picked up my jacket, walked toward the front door. Mom called my name. For the first time, I didn't stop. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Ryan wanted to talk. Emma wanted to clear up misunderstandings. Dad said everyone had been emotional. Funny how people become emotional after they're confronted with the truth. I didn't answer. Instead, I focused on rebuilding my own life. A former coworker connected me with another company. The pay was better, the schedule was healthier. Within months, I was promoted into management. For the first time since I was 18, I started saving money for myself. Not for emergencies, not for someone else's dream. Mine. Nearly a year passed before Mom visited my apartment. She looked older, smaller somehow. She didn't bring excuses. She brought honesty. She admitted they'd all grown comfortable depending on me. Eventually, helping became so normal that nobody noticed the cost anymore. People often appreciate a bridge until they've crossed it. Then they forget who built it. She cried. So did I. Healing didn't happen overnight. Trust never fully returned, but honesty finally entered the room, something that had been missing for years. Ryan eventually repaid part of what he owed, not because I demanded it, because guilt finally reached him. Emma apologized too. She admitted she'd convinced herself I was simply stronger than everyone else. Strong people still get tired. They still need support. They still deserve kindness. That's something many families forget. So now I'm curious, have you ever been the person who sacrificed everything for your family only to realize they never truly saw your sacrifices? Share your story in the comments, because sometimes hearing "me too" is the first step towards healing.